I'm afraid I have some bad news. You're dying and you don't have much time. How long have I got? 10. 10? 10 what? Months? Weeks? What? 10. 9. 8. 7. This is the world into which a novel influenza virus arrived in the spring of 1918. How exactly did a war and a stupid parade kill 50 million people? Our story begins in this office in Philadelphia in September 1918. We need to cancel the parade. The flu is spreading like wildfire. No, the parade will give us money for the war. Our soldiers need the morale. Did you not hear me? The disease is spreading. The flu is being managed, Dr. Anders. Sir, the hospitals are filling up. I have made my decision. The parade will proceed. And so the Liberty Loan Parade happened on September 28, 1918. 200,000 people marched on the streets in support of the First World War. Bands played, flags waved. It was a tremendous fundraising success. Within 3 days, every hospital in the city was full. And within 3 weeks, about 5,000 Philadelphians died. But the virus wasn't finished. It had found its ride, and it was headed for the rest of the world to take the lives of more than 50 million people. There have been recorded cases of the Spanish flu as early as January 1918 in Haskell County. But the first recorded cluster appeared at Camp Funston on March 4, 1918. Albert Gitchell, a cook, reported to the infirmary with a fever and sore throat. By noon, over 100 soldiers had reported similar symptoms. By the end of the week, 500 soldiers had the same illness. Sir, this flu is spreading very fast. I should flag this. Yeah. Sure, but we're still shipping these men to Europe. But the disease is likely to spread there. Yeah. The war doesn't pause for the flu, doctor. Ship them. What? The people on the ship will get sick too? Yeah. Not my problem anymore. It is Europe's problem. Anymore. Here's the thing about Camp Funston. Its entire function was to train soldiers and send them to Europe. And that is exactly what it continued to do, even if the soldiers were sick. So the flu sailed across the Atlantic inside military ships carrying 50,000 men a month. 50,000! It arrived in France, then Britain, then everywhere else. Because if there is a war, there is a job. Migrant workers moved a lot. What they didn't know was that military camps were the perfect incubators for this virus. Thousands of young men, close quarters, shared mess halls, and very little sleep. The flu loved this. The first wave happened in the spring of 1918. People got sick and died, though most of them recovered. Sir, the flu is going around. How bad is it? People are dying, but it's manageable. Should we do anything? I think we should wait and see. This was the correct observation, but it was the wrong decision. Why? You see, typical flu season in the United States is during fall and winter. So this outbreak was unusual in spring, but then the death rate was not alarming enough to trigger any serious action. Officials issued statements. The statements said things were fine. The press, operating under wartime censorship, which I'll discuss in detail in a bit, reported that things were fine. People read that things were fine and went about their business until they died. I think we should have done something. In retrospect, the spring wave was merely a preview of what was to come. It is because influenza mutates constantly, which is why you need a flu shot every year. In 1918, the virus was doing what viruses do, replicating, making errors, and occasionally stumbling onto a configuration that worked better. By the fall of that year, the Spanish flu was no longer what it was in spring. It had configurated into an extremely deadly one that will kill at least 50 million people. Your standard influenza or flu kills a predictable demographic, the very young and the very old, or people with weakened immune systems. But the 1918 flu? Oh, it killed healthy young adults too, including soldiers. The victim's skin would turn blue, which is a sign of oxygen deprivation. And some reported nosebleeds so severe they bled from the ears. Death would come within hours of the first symptoms. Strong soldiers were fine at breakfast, but they were dead by dinner. Within weeks, it was everywhere. Meanwhile, back in Philadelphia, a man named Wilmer Cruzen had a decision to make: to parade or not to parade. The war had been raging since 1914. 4 years. Trenches, mud, you know it, the problem was that the war wasn't going anywhere. Morale on all sides was catastrophic, so the governments were in full propaganda mode. And this is important. In the United States, the Espionage Act of 1917 and the Sedition Act of 1918 made it illegal to say things that would cause insubordination or obstruct the recruiting or enlistment service. Chief, soldiers are getting sick, thousands of them. People should know about it, right? We cannot print that. It will lower morale. It is against the law. What if I said they were heroically ill? Still ill. People will not want to be drafted. What if I just print the number of sick soldiers? Numbers can be read. Reading causes thinking. Thinking causes doubt. Doubt is obstruction of the war effort. What if I printed a picture of a hospital? A hospital implies someone is inside it. If someone is inside it, someone is sick, it will affect morale. What if I printed nothing and just left the page blank? A blank page suggests something is being hidden. And if we are hiding something, it is fodder for conspiracy theory. If it is a conspiracy theory, it is tantamount to insubordination. So, I print what exactly? This. We are running. War going extremely well. Everything is fine. And that is what they did. But the absence of the truth was not the only problem. Add to that germ theory was relatively new. There were no ventilators, no antiviral medication, no real treatment beyond rest, fluids, and hoping. If you got the Spanish flu and it went badly, the only medical intervention available was a nurse sitting next to you. I'm afraid I have some bad news. You're dying and you don't have much time. How long have I got? 10. 10? 10 what? Months? Weeks? What? 10. 9. 8. 7. This is the world into which a novel influenza virus arrived in the spring of 1918. Now this guy, Wilmer Cruzen, was the director of public health for the city of Philadelphia. Dr. Howard Anders and other Philadelphia doctors went to Cruzen and recommended canceling large public gatherings, specifically the Liberty Loan Parade. But what's the big deal about it? The Liberty Loan Parade was a wartime fundraising event. Its purpose was to sell war bonds. It means that you would lend the government money that they can spend on the war, and then the government pays you back later with interest upon maturity. The parade had been planned for weeks, and you already know what Cruzen did. So people got sick and died. So many of them that the city ran out of coffins. Undertakers ran out of capacity. Bodies sat in homes because there was nowhere to put them. The city ordered ice storage facilities to keep the dead bodies. Catholic priests went around the neighborhoods in horse-drawn carts collecting the dead. They did not even have enough people to dig graves. While the city was running out of coffins, the newspapers were being careful. They did more reports about the parade than the flu. And this was not unique to Philadelphia. Freedom of speech was suppressed worldwide. This information vacuum had consequences. People didn't know how bad it was. There was no internet, there was no TikTok or YouTube. They had newspapers. And the paper said everything was fine. Hey, everything is fine. Yep. Everything is fine. But why call it the Spanish flu? Well, Spain was neutral in the war, which meant their government did not muffle the press. Spanish newspapers did not hold back on the truth. The rest of the world would now look at Spain as the source of the pandemic. Global news outlets reported Spain got the flu, and so the name got stuck. But the truth, it was not the Spanish flu. It was, well, probably American in origin. It's your flu. No, it's your flu. And so the war ended on November 11, 1918. The armistice was signed, and guess what people did? They flooded into the streets of Paris, London, New York, and Philadelphia. The pandemic raged on. Soldiers and workers returning home from Europe brought the virus with them. Eventually, the spread wound down through the spring and summer of 1919. And then, more or less, it just stopped. Not because of a vaccine or a treatment, it just stopped. The medical establishment did not cure it. We humans just outlasted it. Overall, the final death toll of the Spanish flu pandemic is estimated at somewhere between 50 and 100 million people worldwide. About 675,000 Americans died. For context, the US death toll in World War I was approximately 116,000. Worldwide, about one-third of the entire global population was infected, and 10 to 20% of those infected died. So what happened next? Nothing happened. The war ended, people were tired, and they just wanted to move on. There was very little public appetite for any discussion of the flu. Politicians who had made bad decisions during the flu stayed in office. The press did not care. What people celebrated was the war victory. In the weeks following the parade, roughly 12,000 Philadelphians died. The parade was declared a success. The flu, however, kept mutating, and its mutated version is still around until today.